All right, we are coming up on 8 o'clock. So let's settle in, get comfortable, pull up a drink and a chair, and let's get started with a new book tonight. Welcome back. This is our first night reading a classic American author, one of the foundational authors, really set the trajectory for quite a lot of American lit, and in a timely manner, it's one of the better known gay authors of American lit. So, in observance of this Pride Month, we're bringing up Walt Whitman tonight with Leaves of Grass. Now, Walt is really more of a poet than an author, so this might be a little bit of a difference from what we usually read around here, but his poetry is really more free verse and reads more like disjointed prose rather than Teams, shut up. It reads more like yeah, it's free verse. So it reads more like disjointed prose than it does poetry. So this should be a pretty good fit, especially considering we've been reading things that are very poetic for a while. So we read, I mean, shoot, we just read Inferno, which is just straight up a poem. We read Gilgamesh, an epic poem. So we aren't going too far off our usual stomping grounds. I actually have a little bit of history with Walt Whitman. I did an authorial intent paper for him back in high school. Did not know what I was getting into, if I'm being entirely honest. I wasn't a terribly good student back in the day, but you do what you do. So I did some relatively deep dive on this, and in all very obviously oblivious methods of a high school boy, completely glossed over most of the, themes and ideas and things that were being pushed across, and just generally made an ass of myself. I got a B on that paper, funny enough. I don't know how. For the life of me, I don't know how. Anyway. But this is one of those authors that I've got a little bit more experience with than some others that we've read. Yeah, sure. The attempt, not for the being correct. And that's one of the main things about in writing in high school, particularly. You're being taught and trained how to think and how to deliver on objectives rather than proper research and whatnot, and coming up with the thoughts that they want. What thoughts are produced, they don't care so much. Being able to follow directions and spit out some thought, that's really what matters. Hello, Senpai. Yes, taking up the desk. All right, so let's go ahead and just jump right in, because I don't know how long this is, honestly, but I imagine it's going to be rather hefty, and Walt deserves some respect. So let's not rush things. Let's enjoy this and get going, because let's remember, while the likes of Thoreau and such looked up to those like Walt Whitman, they didn't live up to those like Whitman. So while they might be loose contemporaries, Waltman is so much better than Henry. So let's enjoy the difference now that we'll have seen both. All right, let's shift over to our reading nook, and let's see what this story, or what this collection, this book of poems will bring to us. So we come now to Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass. Got a bit of a preamble here, and I swear my monitor is not going very friendly like. Let's see. Have a look here, make sure that we're having the proper back sampling. I can't tell if it's just that this audio track, we're going back to our piano, is just very, very quiet, or if my headphones decided that they didn't care to play along tonight. It's not too big a deal. You hear it? Okay, so it's just me then. Teams, please. It is 8 o'clock on a Friday night. I'm not working. Yeah, I have the issue of pretty much every time my computer restarts, Windows in its infinite wisdom loves to... Teams. Windows in its infinite wisdom loves to virtualize device drivers and things of the sort. As such, OBS doesn't really like that, and it presents it as a new device, and I have to reselect it from the list. In any case, with it not working, I'll just take my headset off and not have to suffer through the heat. Let's be real. It's a rough, humid, muggy sort of last few days. All right. So, well, the worst part is, it's not even a conversation directed at me. It's my team, sure, but it's not something that I'm directly responsible for. And still, the chimes come through. All right. Lest I just continue to vent, let's go ahead and just get started. There's a preface to this one. So, all right, a preceding poem to the collection of poems. So, Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman. Come, said my soul, such verses for my body let us write, for we are one. That should I after return, or long, long hence. In other spheres, there to some group of mates the chance resuming, tallying earth, soil, trees, winds, tumultuous waves, ever with pleased smile I may keep on, ever and ever yet the verses owning as first, I here and now signing for soul and body set to them my name. Walt Whitman. Alright, you know what? I'm going to just close Teams. I'm not on call this weekend. If anything actually catches on fire, they'll call me. Okay, these are all preamble. Good Lord, come on, where's the start? All right, there we go. The problem with collections of poetry, the table of contents becomes onerously long. All right. Book 1, Inscriptions. One's self I sing. Oneself I sing, a simple, separate person, yet utter the word democratic, the word en masse. A physiology from top to toe I sing, not physiognomy alone, nor brain alone is worthy for the muse. I say the form complete is worthier far. The female equally with the male I sing, of life immense in passion, pulse, and power, cheerful for freest action, formed under the laws divine. The modern man I sing. Walt was way ahead of his time, honestly. Being more for equality and general equity of treatment, and obviously being a queer man at a time where, I mean, obviously, we're backsliding now, but 200 years ago, it was, or 150 years ago, it was obviously rather more hostile an environment. As I pondered in silence, returning upon my poems, considering, lingering long, a phantom arose before me with distrustful aspect, terrible in beauty, age, and power, the genius of poets of old lands, as to me directing like flame its eyes, with finger pointing to many immortal songs, and menacing voice. What singest thou? It said. Knowest thou not there is but one theme for ever enduring bards? And that is the theme of war, the fortune of battles, the making of perfect soldiers. Be it so, then I answered, I, too haughty shade, also sing war, and a longer and greater one than any, waged in my book, with varying fortune, with flight, advance and retreat, victory deferred and wavering, yet, methinks, certain, or as good as certain, at the last. The field, the world, for life and death, for the body and for the eternal soul, lo, I too am come, chanting the chant of battles. I, above all, promote brave soldiers. In cabined ships at sea. In cabined ships at sea, the boundless blue on every side expanding, with whistling winds and music of the waves, the large imperious waves, or some lone bark, buoyed on the dense marine, where joyous, full of faith, spreading white sails, she cleaves the ether mid the sparkle and the foam of day, or under many a star at night. By sailors young and haply will I a reminiscence of the land be read, in full rapport at last. Here are our thoughts, voyagers' thoughts. Here not the land, firm land alone appears, may then by them be said, the sky o'erarches here. We feel the undulating deck beneath our feet. We feel the long pulsation, ebb and flow of endless motion, the tones of unseen mystery, the vague and vast suggestions of the briny world, the liquid flowing syllables, the perfume, the faint creaking of the cordage, the melancholy rhythm, the boundless vista, and the horizon far and dim are all here. And this is ocean's poem. Then falter not, O book, fulfill your destiny, yet not a reminiscence of the land alone. You, too, as a lone bark cleaving the ether, I purposed I know not whither, yet ever full of faith, consort to every ship that sails, sail you. Bear forth to them folded my love, dear mariners, for you I folded here in every leaf. Speed on my book, spread your white sails, my little bark athwart the imperious waves. Chant on, sail on, bear o'er the boundless blue from me to every sea, this song for mariners and all their ships. To foreign lands. I heard that you asked for something to prove this puzzle, the new world, and to define America, her athletic democracy. Therefore I send you my poems, that you behold in them what you wanted. To a historian, you who celebrate bygones, who have explored the outward, the surfaces of the races, the life that has exhibited itself, who have treated of man as the creature of politics, aggregates, rulers, and priests. I, habitant of the Alleghenies, treating of him as he is in himself, in his own rights, pressing the pulse of the life that has seldom exhibited itself, the great pride of man in himself. Chanter of personality, outlining what is yet to be, I project the history of the future. To thee, old cause. To thee, old cause, thou peerless, passionate, good cause, thou stern, remorseless, sweet idea, deathless, throughout the ages, races, lands, after a strange, sad war, great war for thee. I think all war, though, through time was really fought, and ever will be really fought for thee. These chants for thee, the eternal march of thee, a war of soldiers not for itself alone. Far, far more stood silently waiting behind, now to advance in this book. Thou orb of many orbs, thou seething principle, thou well-kept latent germ, thou center. Around the idea of thee the war revolving with all its angry and vehement play of causes, with vast results to come for thrice 1,000 years. These recitatives for thee, my book and the war are one, merged in its spirit, I and mine, as the contest hinged on thee, as a wheel on its axis turns this book, unwitting to itself, around the idea of thee. Eidolons. I met a seer, passing the hues and objects of the world. The fields of art and learning, pleasure, sense, to glean eidolons. Put in thy chance, said he, no more the puzzling hour, nor day, nor segments, parts put in, but first, before the rest is light for all, an entrant song of all, that of eidolons. Ever the dim beginning, ever the growth, the rounding of the circle, ever the summit and the merge at last, to surely start again. Eidolons, eidolons! Ever the mutable, ever materials changing, crumbling, recohering, ever the ateliers, the factories divine issuing eidolons. Lo, I, or you, or woman, man, or state, known or unknown, we seeming solid wealth, strength, beauty build, but really build eidolons. The ostent evanescent, the substance of an artist's mood, or a savant's studies long. Warriors, martyrs, heroes, toils to fashion his eidolon. Of every human life the units gathered, posted, not a thought, emotion, deed left out, the whole, or large, or small, summed, added up in its eidolon. The old urge, based on the ancient pinnacles, lo, newer, higher pinnacles, from science and the modern still impelled, the old urge, eidolons. The present, now and here, America's busy, teeming, intricate whirl of aggregate and segregate, for only thence releasing today's eidolons. These, with the past of vanquished lands, of all the reigns of kings across the sea, old conquerors, old campaigns, old sailors, voyages, joining eidolons. Densities, growths, facades, strata of mountains, soils, rocks, and giant trees, far born, far dying, living long to leave eidolons everlasting. Exalt, rapt, ecstatic, divisible but their womb of birth, of orbic tendencies to shape and shape and shape the mighty earth eidolon. All space, all time, the stars, the terrible perturbations of the suns, swelling, collapsing, ending, serving their longer, shorter use, filled with eidolons only, the noiseless myriads, the infinite oceans where the rivers empty, the separate, countless, free identities like eyesight, the true realities eidolons. Not this the world, nor these the universes, they the universes, purport and end, ever the permanent life of life, eidolons, eidolons. Beyond thy lectures, learned professor, beyond thy telescope or spectroscope observer keen, beyond all mathematics, beyond the doctor's surgery, anatomy, beyond the chemist with his chemistry, the entities of entities, eidolons. Unfixed, yet fixed, ever shall be, ever have been and are, sweeping the present, the infinite future, eidolons, eidolons, eidolons. The prophet and the bard shall yet maintain themselves in higher stages yet, shall mediate to the modern, to democracy, interpret yet to them God and eidolons. And thee, my soul, joys, ceaseless exercises, exultations, the yearning amply fed at last, prepared to meet thy mates, eidolons. Thy body permanent, the body lurking there within thy body, the only purport of the form thou art, the real I myself, an image, an eidolon. Thy very songs, not in thy songs, no special strains to sing, none for itself, but from the whole resulting, rising at last and floating, a round, full-orbed eidolon. Before we continue on, I really am stricken by the idea that even only 150 years ago, people like Walt Whitman were looked up to. The expression of the arts was something to strive for. And more than that, Whitman himself had, you could see it in his work so far, there's an essence of hope. He wants and feels that people can be good, can make progress, and can do good things, be exaltations of potential. And that is powerful. I mean, because you look today and it's the creatives, the academics are looked down on, and everyone is just so fucking jaded. There's not much hope for you look at America and you think, here we go again, rise and fall of empires. But in Whitman's time, it was a child of possibility. The promise of the shining city on the hill, and it kind of hurts to see that promise has been squandered. I'm not drunk enough for this. For him I sing. For him I sing. I raise the present on the past, as some perennial tree out of its roots the present on the past. With time and space I him dilate and fuse the immortal laws, to make himself by them the law unto himself. When I read the book, the biography famous, and is this then, said I, what the author calls a man's life? And so will someone, when I am dead and gone, write my life? As if any man really knew aught my life. Why, even I myself, I often know little or nothing of my real life. Only a few hints, a few diffused faint clues and indirections I seek for my own use to trace out here. I like how more than half of this poem was in parentheses. Beginning my studies. Beginning my studies, the first step pleased me so much. The mere fact, consciousness, these forms, the power of motion, the least insect or animal, the senses, eyesight, love. The first step, I say, awed me and pleased me so much. I've hardly gone and hardly wish to go any farther, but stop and loiter all the time to sing it in ecstatic songs. Beginners. How they are provided for upon the earth, appearing at intervals. How dear and dreadful they are to the earth. How they inure them to themselves as much as to any what paradox appears their age. How people respond to them, yet know them not. How there is something relentless in their fate all times. How all the times mischoose the objects of their adulation and reward. And how the same inexorable price must still be paid for the same great purchase. To the States. To the States, or any one of them, or any city of the States, resist much, obey little. Once unquestioning obedience, once fully enslaved, no nation, state, city of this earth ever afterward resumes its liberty. All right, go off. Go off, Walt. On journeys through the States. On journeys through the States we start. Aye, through the world, urged by these songs, sailing henceforth to every land, to every sea. We, willing learners of all, teachers of all, and lovers of all, We have watched the seasons dispensing themselves and passing on, and have said, why should not a man or woman do as much as the seasons and fuse as much? We dwell a while in every city and town. We pass through Canada, the Northeast, the vast valley of the Mississippi, and the southern states. We confer on equal terms with each of the states. We make trial of ourselves and invite men and women to hear. We say to ourselves, remember, fear not, be candid, promulge the body and soul. Dwell a while and pass on. Be copious, temperate, chaste, magnetic, and what you effuse may then return as the seasons return, and may be just as much as the seasons. To a certain cantatrice. Here, take this gift. I was reserving it for some hero, speaker, or general, one who should serve the good old cause, the great idea, the progress and freedom of the race, some brave confronter of despots, some daring rebel. But I see that what I was reserving belongs to you just as much as to any. That's a nice thought. Holding back something for some paragon of virtue, a hero of courage and strength, and thinking, you know what? No, this is just as valuable for any of us. Walt hits a little different as I'm reading through it older now. Me imperturbe, me imperturbe, standing at ease in nature, master of all or mistress of all, aplomb in the midst of irrational things, imbued as they, passive, receptive, silent as they, finding my occupation, poverty, notoriety, foibles, crimes, less important than I thought. Me toward the Mexican Sea, or in the Manhattan, or the Tennessee, or far north or inland, a riverman or a man of the woods, or of any farm life of these states or of the coast, or the lakes or Canada. Me, wherever my life is lived, oh, to be self-balanced for contingencies, to confront night, storms, hunger, ridicule, accidents, rebuffs, as the trees and animals do. Yeah, just let it go. Don't be bothered. Savantism. Thither as I look, I see each result and glory retracing itself and nestling close, always obligated thither hours, months, years, thither trades, compacts, establishments, even the most minute. Thither every day in life, speech, utensils, politics, persons, estates, thither we also. I with my leaves and songs, trustful, admirant, as a father to his father, going, takes his children along with him. The ship starting. Lo, the unbounded sea, on its breast a ship starting, spreading all sails, carrying even her moon sails. The pennant is flying aloft. As she speeds so stately. Below, emulous waves press forward. They surround the ship with shining, curving motions and foam. I hear America singing. I hear America singing. The varied carols I hear, those of mechanics, each one singing his, as it should be blithe and strong. The carpenter singing his as he measures his plank or beam. The mason singing his as he makes ready for work or leaves off work. The boatman singing what belongs to him and his boat. The deckhand singing on the steamboat deck. The shoemaker singing as he sits on his bench. The hatter singing as he stands. The woodcutter's song. The the plowboys on his way in the morning, or at noon intermission, or at sundown, the delicious singing of the mother, or of the young wife at work, or of the girl sewing or washing, each singing what belongs to him or her and to none else. The day that what belongs to the day, at night the party of young fellows, robust, friendly, singing with open mouths their strong melodious songs. What place is besieged? What place is besieged and vainly tries to raise the siege? Lo, I send to that place a commander, swift, brave, immortal, and with him horse and foot and parks of artillery and artillerymen, the deadliest that ever fired gun. Still, though, the one I sing. Still, though, the one I sing, one yet of contradictions made, I dedicate to nationality. I leave in him revolt. O latent right of insurrection, O quenchless, indispensable fire! Shut not your doors. Shut not your doors to me, proud libraries. For that which was lacking on all your well-filled shelves, yet needed most, I bring. Forth from the war emerging a book I have made, the words of my book nothing, the drift of it everything. A book separate, not linked with the rest, nor felt by the intellect. But you, ye untold latencies, will thrill with to every page. Poets to come. Poets to come, orators, singers, musicians to come. Not today is to justify me and answer what I am for, but you, a new brood, native, athletic, continental, greater than before known, arouse, for you must justify me. I myself but write one or two indicative words for the future, but I but advance a moment only to wheel and hurry back in the darkness. I am a man who, sauntering along without fully stopping, turns a casual look upon you and then averts his face, leaving it to you to prove and define it, expecting the main things from you. Whitman's got a lot of humility in that, or he doesn't really know that he's going to be so influential, thinking, I'm just not even laying the groundwork, not even paving the road, just, wandering by and giving a glimpse. Everybody else, you've got this, I'm just here. To you, stranger, if you passing meet me and desire to speak to me, why should you not speak to me? And why should I not speak to you? Anxiety's why. Thou reader, throbbest life and pride and love the same as I. Therefore, for thee, the following chants. Okay, so we are through the first book, and now we're into the more solid bits. Let me see here. Yeah, because the inscriptions were a lot of, preambles, things to prepare the way, get your mind going. Notes to people or places or ideas. Alright, Book 2, starting from Paumanok. Starting from fish-shaped Paumanok, where I was born, well begotten and raised by a perfect mother, after roaming many lands, lover of populous pavements, dweller in Manhattan, my city, or on southern savannas, or a soldier, camped or carrying my knapsack and gun, or miner in California, or rude in my home in Dakota's woods, my diet, meat, my drink from the spring, or withdrawn to muse and meditate in some deep recess, far from the clank of crowds' intervals, passing rapt and happy, aware of the fresh, free giver, the flowing Missouri, aware of mighty Niagara, aware of the buffalo herds grazing the plains, the hirsute and strong-breasted bull, of earth, rocks, fifth-month flowers experienced, stars, rain, snow, my amaze! Having studied the mockingbird's tones and the flight of the mountain hawk, and heard at dawn the unrivaled one, the hermit thrush from the swamp cedars, solitary, singing in the west, I strike up for a new world. Victory, union, faith, identity, time, the indissoluble, wow, for some reason that word was a pain in the butt. The indissoluble compact, riches, mystery, eternal progress, the cosmos, and the modern reports. This, then, is life. Here is what has come to the surface after so many throes and convulsions. How curious, how real! Underfoot the divine soil, overhead the sun. See revolving the globe, the ancestor continents away grouped together. The present and future continents north and south with the isthmus between. See vast trackless spaces. As in a dream they change, they swiftly fill. Countless masses debouch upon them. And they are now covered with the foremost. People, arts, institutions known. See, projected through time, for me, an audience interminable. With firm and regular step, they wend, they never stop. Hang on, internet is being a pain in the butt. Please stop dropping frames. That would be fantastic. Well, there we go. As soon as I notice it, decides to get a little bit better. Alright, I think we're past it. Make sure I can get live on everything. It still says poor and connection and unstable, but we'll survive. We'll survive. Okay, yep. Back in just a couple seconds, we're okay. With firm and regular step they wend, they never stop. Successions of men, Americanos, 100 millions, one generation playing its part and passing on, another generation playing its part and passing on in its turn, with faces turned sideways or backward towards me to listen, with eyes retrospective towards me. Americanos, conquerors, marches, humanitarian, foremost century marches, libertad, masses. For you, a program of chants. Chants of the prairies, chants of the long-running Mississippi, and down to the Mexican Sea. Chants of Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Iowa, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. Chants going forth from the center, from Kansas, and thence equidistant. Shooting impulses of fire ceaseless, to vivify all. Take my leaves, America. Take them south. And take them north, make welcome for them everywhere. For they are your own offspring. Surround them east and west, for they would surround you. And you, precedents. Connect lovingly with them, for they connect lovingly with you. I conned old times. I sat studying at the feet of the great masters. Now, if eligible, oh, that the great masters might return and study me. In the name of these states, shall I scorn the antique? Why, these of the children of the antique, to justify it. Dead poets, philosophers. Interesting to just say philosophers, but dead poets, philosophers, priests, martyrs, artists, inventors, governments long since, language shapers on other shores, nations, once powerful, now reduced, withdrawn, or desolate. I dare not proceed till I respectfully credit what you have left wafted hither. I have perused it, own it is admirable, moving, while among it. Think nothing can ever be greater, nothing can ever deserve more than it deserves, regarding it all intently a long while, then dismissing it. I stand in my place, with my own day here. Here lands, female and male, here the airship and the heiress-ship of the world, here the flame of materials, here spirituality, that translatress, the openly avowed, the ever-tending, the finale of visible forms, the satisfier, after due long waiting, now advancing. Yes, here comes the mistress, my mistress, the soul. Hang on, internet again. This is not fun, honestly. Let's be real. Come on. I wasn't expecting it to be this rough. They had some issues earlier on, but it was just a full outage, not just bad general connection. Alright, back to live there. Back there. And there. Okay, I think we're back to normal. Perhaps. Hopefully. Nope, there it goes again. God damn it. Dropping of the frames, there is the lag, here it comes again. Once more, once more, once more. Please. Are we done? Alright. Just shy of... just about 3% of our drops. Yeah, they'll just do whatever they want, because there's nothing anyone can do about it. What are you gonna do? Not have internet? Alright. YouTube. Alright. Let's try and get through a little bit before we lose ourselves. The soul. Forever and forever longer than soil is brown and solid, longer than the water ebbs and flows, I will make the poems of materials, for I think they are to be the most spiritual poems. And I will make the poems of my body and of mortality, for I think I shall then supply myself with the poems of my soul and of immortality. I will make a song for these states, that no one state may under any circumstances be subjected to another state. And I will make a song that there shall be a comity by day and by night between all the states, and between any two of them. And I will make a song for the ears of the president, full of weapons with menacing points, and behind the weapons countless dissatisfied faces, and a song make I of the one formed out of all. The fanged and glittering one whose head is over all, resolute, warlike one including, and over all, however high the head of any else that head is over all. I will acknowledge contemporary lands. I will trail the whole geography of the globe and salute courteously every city large and small, and employments. I will put in my poems that with you is heroism upon land and sea, and I will report all heroism from an American point of view. I will sing the song of companionship. I will show what alone must finally compact these. I believe these are to found their own ideal of manly love, indicating it in me. I will therefore let flame from me the burning fires that were threatening to consume me. I will lift what has too long kept down those smoldering fires. I will gift them complete abandonment. I will write the evangel poem of comrades and of love. For who but I should understand love with all its sorrow and joy? For who but I should be the poet of comrades? It is interesting to have a look at the brand and flavor of Whitman's ideas. The almost patriotic but not nationalistic push, the equality and comedy between everyone, the push and aspire to be a force of good, and to hold those in power to task. It is probably a little optimistic, if I'm being honest, but it is what it is. I am the credulous man of qualities, ages, races. I advance from the people in their own spirit. Here is what sings unrestricted faith. Omnis, omnis. Let others ignore what they may. I make the poem of evil also. I commemorate that part also. I am myself just as much evil as good. And my nation is, and I say there is in fact no evil. Or if there is, I say it is just as important to you, to the land, or to me as anything else. I, too, following many and followed by many, inaugurate a religion. I descend into the arena. It may be I am destined to utter the loudest cries there, the winner's pealing shouts. Who knows? They may rise from me yet and soar above everything. Each is not for its own sake. I say, the whole earth and all the stars in the sky are for religion's sake. I say, no man has ever yet been half devout enough. None has ever yet adored or worshipped half enough. None has begun to think how divine he himself is, and how certain the future is. I say that the real and permanent grandeur of these states must be their religion. Otherwise, there's just no real and permanent grandeur. Nor character, nor life worthy the name without religion. Nor land, nor man or woman without religion. Note how he never clarifies what religion. Just the idea, the spirituality, the idea and personification of something, some shared ideal to carry on. What are you doing, young man? Are you so earnest, so given up to literature, science, art, amours, these ostensible realities, politics, points? Your ambition or business, whatever it may be, it is well. Against such I say not a word. Their poet also. But behold, such swiftly subside, burnt up for religion's sake? For not all matter is fuel to heat, impalpable flame, the essential life of the earth, any more than such are to religion. What do you seek, so pensive and silent? What do you need, camerado? Dear son, do you think it is love? Listen, dear son, listen, America, daughter or son. It is a painful thing to love a man or woman to excess, and yet it satisfies. It is great. But there is something else very great. It makes the whole coincide. It magnificent, beyond materials, with continuous hands, sweeps and provides for all. Know you, solely to drop in the earth the germs of a greater religion, the following chants, each for its kind, I sing, my comrade, for you to share with me two greatnesses, and a third one rising, inclusive and more resplendent, the greatness of love and democracy, and the greatness of religion. Melange mine own, the unseen and the seen, mysterious ocean where the streams empty prophetic spirits of materials shifting and flickering around me, living beings, identities, now doubtless near us in the air that we know not of. Contact daily and hourly that will not release me, these selecting, these in hints demand of me. Not he, with a daily kiss onward from childhood kissing me, has winded and twisted around me that which holds me to him, any more than I am held to the heavens and all the spiritual world, after what they have done to me, suggesting themes. Oh, such themes, equalities, oh, divine average! Warblings under the sun, ushered as now or at noon or setting, strains musical, flowing through ages, now reaching hither, I take to your reckless and composite chords, add to them, and cheerfully pass them forward. All right, we've got an ad about to start up, so let's have a highlight here. We're going to take a pause. And yeah, so before we break, you're right. There's a lot of America as it should be in his work, especially in this early part, where he's really just setting the stage and developing his style and introducing the reader, passing along his passions, and providing an optimistic glint. He loves the idea of America. A lot of people, even today, still love the idea of America, the potential of America, potential of anyone's home. You always want it to be better than reality. You want it to be the best it can be. The problem lies in the disagreements on what form and shape that best becomes. What that disagreements on what direction is forward. All right, we've got ads kicking off, so let's go ahead and take a short moment. Stand up, stretch your legs, top up your drinks, and we'll be back to continue Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass in just a few moments. All right, we are back from ad jail. So, let's continue. There's a lot of poem ahead of us. I mean, even with the tremendous table of contents that was at the beginning of the book, we're still at only about almost 9% of the way through. So there's a lot here. And hopefully the internet will cooperate with us tonight. We'll see. Now Twitch is complaining. Why is Twitch complaining? Twitch, don't complain. We're not dropping frames. Well, shit. Now we are dropping frames. How presentient of you. Well. This is certainly a rough night for the internet. Summers are always rough. If I remember right, when it was getting awful warm, we had quite a few drops last year around this time. So we'll see how well it carries on. One of these days I'll just have to get a solid 5G backup line and just use it for streaming. Alright, I think we're stable. Alright. Resuming from part 11, or verse 11. As I have walked in Alabama my morning walk, I have seen where the she-bird, the mockingbird, sat on her nest in the briars hatching her brood. I have seen the he-bird also. I have paused to hear him near at hand, inflating his throat and joyfully singing. And while I paused, it came to me that what he really sang for was not there only, nor for his mate, nor for himself only, nor all sent back by the echoes, but subtle, clandestine, away beyond, a charge transmitted and gift occult, for those being born. Democracy! Near at hand to you, a throat is now inflating itself and joyfully singing. Ma femme, for the brood beyond us and of us, for those who belong here and those to come, I, exultant to be ready for them, will now shake out carols stronger and haughtier than have ever yet been heard upon earth. I will make the songs of passion to give them their way, and your songs outlawed offenders, for I scan you with kindred eyes and carry you with me in the same as any. I will make the true poem of riches, to earn for the body and the mind whatever it hears and goes forward and is not dropped by death. I will effuse egotism and show it underlying all, and I will be the bard of personality. And I will show male and female that either is but the equal of the other, and sexual organs and acts. Do you concentrate in me, for I am determined to tell you with courageous clear voice to prove you illustrious, and I will show that there is no imperfection in the present, and can be none in the future. And I will show that whatever happens to anybody, it may be turned to beautiful results. And I will show that nothing can happen more beautiful than death. And I will thread a thread through my poems that time and events are compact, and that all the things of the universe are perfect miracles, each as profound as any. I will not make poems with reference to parts. I will not make poems, songs, thoughts with reference to ensemble. I will not sing with reference to a day, but with reference to all days. And I will not make a poem, nor the least part of a poem, that has reference to this, but has reference to the soul, because having looked at the objects of the universe, I find there is no one, nor any particle of one, but has reference to the soul. Somebody asking to see the soul? See? Your own shape and countenance, person, substances, beasts, the trees, the running rivers, the rocks and sands, all hold spiritual joys, and afterwards loosen them. How can the real body ever die and be buried? Of your real body, and any man's or woman's real body, item for item, it will elude the hands of the corpse cleaners and pass to fitting spheres, carrying what has accrued to it from the moment of birth to the moment of death. Not the types set up by the printer return their impression, the meaning, the main concern, any more than a man's substance and life or a woman's substance and life return in the body and the soul, indifferently, before death and after death. Behold, the body includes and is the meaning, the main concern, and includes and is the soul. Whoever you are, how superb and how divine is your body or any part of it. Whoever you are, to you, endless announcements. Daughter of the lands, did you wait for your poet? Did you wait for one with a flowing mouth and indicative hand, toward the male of the states and toward the female of the states, exalting words to democracy's lands, interlinked, food-yielding lands, lands of coal and iron, land of gold, land of cotton, sugar, rice, land of wheat, beef, pork, land of wool and hemp, land of the apple and the grape, land of the pastoral plains, the grass fields of the world, land of those sweet-aired, interminable plateaus, land of the herd, the garden, the wealthy house of adobe, lands where the northwest Columbia winds and where the southwest Colorado wines. Land of the eastern Chesapeake, land of the Delaware, land of Ontario, Erie, Huron, Michigan, land of the Old 13, Massachusetts land of Vermont and Connecticut, land of the ocean shores, land of sierras and peaks, land of boatmen and sailors, fishermen's land, inextricable lands, the clutched together, the passionate ones, the side-by-side, the elder and younger brothers, the bony-limbed, the great women's land, the feminine, the experienced sisters, and the inexperienced sisters. For breath, land, Arctic, braced, Mexican breezed, the diverse, the compact, the Pennsylvanian, the Virginian, the double Carolinian, oh, all and each well loved by me, my intrepid nations. Oh, I, at any rate, include you all with perfect love. I cannot be discharged from you. not from any one sooner than another. Oh, death! Oh, for all that, I am yet of you unseen this hour with irrepressible love. Walking New England, a friend, a traveler, splashing my bare feet in the edge of the summer ripples on Paumanok sands, crossing the prairies, dwelling again in Chicago, dwelling in every town, observing shows, births, improvements, structures, arts, listening to orators and oratresses in public halls, of and through the states as during life, each man and woman my neighbor, the Louisianan, the Georgian, as near to me, and I as near to him, her, and her, the Mississippian, the Arkansian, yet with me, and I yet with any of them. Yet upon the plains west of the Spinal River, yet in my house of adobe, yet returning eastward, yet in the seaside state or in Maryland, yet Canadian cheerily braving the winter, the snow and ice welcome to me, yet a true son, either of Maine or of the Granite State or the Narragansett Bay State or the Empire State, Narragansett. Yet sailing to other shores to annex the same, yet welcoming every new brother, hereby applying these leaves to the new ones from the hour they unite with the old ones, coming along the new ones myself to be their companion and equal, coming personally to you now, and joining you to acts, characters, spectacles with me. With me, with firm holding, yet haste, haste on, for your love adheres to me. I may have to be persuaded many times before I consent to give myself really to you, but what of that? Must not nature be persuaded many times? No dainty dolce affectuoso, I, bearded, sunburnt, grey-necked, forbidding, I have arrived to be wrestled with as I pass for the solid prizes of the universe. For such I afford whoever can persevere to win them. On my way a moment I pause. Here, for you, and here for America, still the present I raise aloft. Still the future of the states I harbinge glad and sublime. And for the past I pronounce what the air holds of the red aborigines. The red aborigines, leaving natural breaths, sounds of rain and winds, calls as of birds and animals in the woods, syllabled to us for names. Oconee, Coosa, Ottawa, Monongahela, Sauk, Natchez, Chattahoochee, Kaketa, Oronoco, Wabash, Miami, Saginaw, Chippewa, Oshkosh, Walla Walla, leaving such to the states they melt, they depart, charging the water and the land with names. Expanding, and swift henceforth elements breeds adjustments, turbulent, quick, and audacious, a world primal again, vistas of glory incessant and branching, a new race, dominating previous ones of grandeur far, with new contests, new politics, new literatures and religions, new inventions and arts. These, my voice announcing, I will sleep no more but arise. You oceans that have been calm within me, how I feel you, fathomless, stirring, preparing unprecedented waves and storms. See, steamers steaming through my poems. See, in my poets, immigrants continually coming and landing. See, in arrière, the wigwam, the trail, the hunter's hut, the flatboat, the maize leaf, the claim, the rude fence, and the backwoods village. See, on the one side the western sea, and on the other the eastern sea, how they advance and retreat upon my poems as upon their own shores. See, pastures and forests in my poems. See, animals wild and tame. See, beyond the caw, countless herds of buffalo feeding on short curly grass. See, in my poems, cities, solid, vast, inland, with paved streets, with iron and stone edifices, ceaseless vehicles and commerce. See, the many-cylindered steam printing press. See, the electric telegraph stretching across the continent. See, through Atlantica's depth pulses American Europe reaching, pulses of Europe duly returned. See, The strong and quick locomotive as it departs, panting, blowing the steam whistle. See plowmen plowing farms. See the miners digging mines. See the numberless factories. See mechanics busy at their benches with tools. See from among them superior judges, philosophers, presidents emerge dressed in working dresses. See lounging through the shops and fields of the states me, well beloved, held close by day and night. Hear the loud echoes of my songs there. Read the hints come at last. Oh, camarado close, oh, you and me at last, and us two only. Oh, a word to clear one's path ahead endlessly. Oh, something ecstatic and undemonstrable. Oh, music wild. Oh, now I triumph, and you shall also. Oh, hand in hand, oh, wholesome pleasure, oh, one more desirer and lover. Oh, to haste, firm holding, to haste, haste on with me. All right, that brings us to the end of book 2. Yeah, there's a lot of... It's very interesting to see so much hope in Whitman. For something, because he's not mainstream. He's been repressed most of his life. He's been holding back. And despite all of that, he has hope. He sees progress and thinks, yeah, this can raise everyone up. He sees the history, the artifacts of the past and those that came before, and sees their inheritance, and thinks we can do right by this and carry it forward, make it better, make it more. He sees the common salt of the earth and thinks they can grow and become, from the workmen, the judges and politicians, the learned masses, coming from the salt of the earth. Nowadays, shit, there ain't a whole lot of hope left. There's not a whole lot of mobility left. Generally, it's all been captured by the vulture capitalists and the aristocratic classes that we don't have, quote, 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 quote. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Yeah, we made it through that without dropping, really. Good on us. Good on us. All right, so let's continue now with Book 3, Song of Myself. This is one of the more well-known sets of verses by Whitman. This is what he's mostly known for, I would say, is this Book 3 of Leaves of Grass. The whole of Leaves of Grass is impactful, is indicative of his body of work, but this in particular, if someone is quoting Whitman, there's a very real chance it's from this. So, let's enjoy it. Book 3, Song of Myself. I celebrate myself, and sing myself, and what I assume you shall assume. For every atom belonging to me, as good belongs to you. I loaf, and invite my soul. I lean and lope at my ease, observing a spear of summer grass. My tongue, every atom of my blood, formed from this soil, this air. Born here of parents, born here from parents the same, and their parents the same. I, now 37 years old, in perfect health, begin, hoping to cease not till death. Alright, I would have certainly expected him to be older than 37 at this point. He's sounding very world-wise, and I don't feel that world-wise. Creeds and schools and abeyance, retiring back a while, sufficed at what they are, but never forgotten. I harbor for good or bad, I permit to speak at every hazard, nature without check, with original energy. Houses and rooms are full of perfumes. The shelves are crowded with perfumes. I breathe the fragrance myself and know it and like it. The distillation would intoxicate me also, but I shall not let it. The atmosphere is not a perfume. It has no taste of the distillation. It is odorless. It is for my mouth forever. I am in love with it. I will go to the bank by the wood and become undisguised and naked. I am mad for it to be in contact with me. The smoke of my own breath, echoes, ripples, buzzed whispers, love root, silk thread, crotch and vine, my respiration and inspiration, the beating of my heart, the passing of blood and air through my lungs, the sniff of green leaves and dry leaves, and of the shore and dark-colored sea rocks and of hay in the barn, the sound of the belched words of my voice loosed to the eddies of the wind, a few light kisses, a few embraces, a reaching around of arms, the play of shine and shade on the trees as the supple boughs wag, the delight alone, or in the rush of the streets, or along the fields and hillsides, the feeling of health, the full moon trill, the song of me rising from bed and meeting the sun. Have you reckoned 1,000 acres much? Have you reckoned the earth much? Have you practiced so long to learn to read? Have you felt so proud to get at the meaning of poems? Stop this day and night with me, and you shall possess the origin of all poems. You shall possess the good of the earth and sun. There are millions of suns left. You shall no longer take things at second or third hand, nor look through the eyes of the dead, nor feed on the spectres in books. You shall not look through my eyes either, nor take things from me. You shall listen to all sides, and filter them from yourself. That's a powerful little bit. To see things for yourself, judge things for yourself, interpret things yourself. Not to be told how to thought, not to be told what to think. To see it, take it in, and judge. Now, that is pretty often abused, I should think, where you get the do your research crowd these days, where it is twisted upon its head and you get the researching bad sources. That's how we get into the problem with the anti-vax dipshits. The do your own research, meh, meh, meh. It's a little different. A little... That well has been poisoned, shall we say. But the idea Whitman's pushing here, to not necessarily study and reiterate, but to take it in yourself, to view, understand, and not regurgitate, but make it your own. That's important. I have heard what the talkers were talking, the talk of the beginning and the end, but I do not talk of the beginning or the end. There's never any more an inception than there is now, nor any more youth or age than there is now, and will never be any more perfection than there is now, nor any more heaven nor hell than there is now. Urge and urge and urge, always the procreant urge of the world. Out of the dimness opposite equals advance. always a substance and increase, always sex, always a knit of identity, always distinction, always a breed of life. To elaborate is no avail. Learned and unlearned feel that it is so. Sure is the most certain shore, plumb in the uprights, well entreated, braced in the beams, stout as a horse, affectionate, haughty, electrical. Aye, in this mystery here we stand. Clear and sweet is my soul, and clear and sweet is all that is not my soul. Lack one lacks both, and the unseen is proved by the seen, till that becomes unseen and receives proof in its turn. Showing the best and dividing it from the worst, age vexes age, knowing the perfect fitness and equanimity of all things while they discuss, I am silent, and go bathe and admire myself. Welcome is every organ and attribute of me, and if any man hearty and clean, not an inch nor a particle of an inch is vile, and none shall be less familiar than the rest. I am satisfied. I see, dance, laugh, sing, as the hugging and loving bedfellow sleeps at my side through the night, and withdraws at the peep of the day with a stealthy tread, leaving me baskets covered with white towels, swelling the house with their plenty. Shall I postpone my acceptation and realization, and scream at my eyes that they turn from gazing after and down the road, and forthwith cipher and show me to assent? Exactly the value of one, and exactly the value of two, and which is ahead? Trippers and others and other askers, as trippers and askers surround me. People I meet, the effect upon me of my early life, or the ward and city I live in, or the nation, the latest dates, discoveries, inventions, societies, authors, old and new, my dinner, dress, associates, looks, compliments, dues, the real or fancied indifference of some man or woman I love, the sickness of one of my folks, or of myself, or ill-doing, or loss, or lack of money, or depressions, or exultations, battles, the horrors of fratricidal war, the fever of doubtful news, the fitful events, these come to me days and nights and go from me again. But they are not the me myself. Apart from the pulling and hauling stands what I am, stands amused, complacent, compassionating, idle, unitary, looks down, is erect, or bends an arm on an impalpable certain rest, looking with side-curved head, curious what will come next, both in and out of the game, and watching it and wondering at it. Backward I see in my own days, where I sweated through fog with linguists and contenders. I have no mockings or arguments. I witness and wait. I believe in you, my soul. The other I am must not abase itself to you, and you must not be abased to the other. Loaf with me on the grass. Loose the stop from your throat. Not words, not music or rhyme I want, not custom or lecture, not even the best, only the lull I like, the hum of your valved voice. I mind how once we lay such a transparent summer morning, how you settled your head athwart my hips and gently turned over upon me and parted the shirt from my bosom bone and plunged your tongue to my bare stripped heart and reached till you felt my beard and reached till you held my feet. Swiftly arose and spread around me the peace, the knowledge that pass all the argument of the earth, and I know the hand of God is the promise of my own, and I know that the Spirit of God is the brother of my own, and that all the men ever born are also my brothers, and the women my sisters and lovers, and that a kelson of the creation is love, and limitless are leaves stiff or drooping in the fields, and brown ants in little wells beneath them, and mossy scabs of the worm fence, heaped stones, elder, mullein, and pokeweed. A child said, "What is the grass?" fetching it to me with full hands. How could I answer the child? I do not know what it is any more than he. I guess it must be the flag of my disposition, out of hopeful green stuff woven. Or I guess it is the handkerchief of the Lord, a scented gift and remembrancer designedly dropped, bearing the owner's name some way in the corners, that we may see and remark and say, whose? Or I guess the grass is itself a child, produced babe of the vegetation. Or I guess it is a uniform hieroglyphic, and it means sprouting alike in broad zones and narrow zones, growing among black folks as among white, Canuck, Tuckahoe, Congressman, Cuff. I give them the same. I receive them the same. And now it seems to me the beautiful uncut hair of graves. Tenderly will I use you, curling grass. It may be you transpire from the breasts of young men. It may be if I had known them, I would have loved them. It may be you are from old people, or from offspring taken soon out of their mother's laps. Here, you are the mother's laps. This grass is very dark to be from the white heads of old mothers. No, thank you. Do not need my promotions. This grass is very dark to be from the white heads of old mothers, darker than the colorless beards of old men, dark to come from under the faint red roofs of mouths. Oh, I perceive after all so many uttering tongues, and I perceive they do not come from the roofs of mouths for nothing. I wish I could translate the hints about the dead young men and women, and the hints about the old men and mothers, and the offspring taken soon out of their laps. What do you think has become of the young and old men? And what do you think has become of the women and children? They are alive and well somewhere. The smallest sprout shows there is really no death, and if ever there was, it led forward life, and does not wait at the end to arrest it, and ceased the moment life appeared. All goes onward and outward, nothing collapses, and to die is different from what anyone supposed, and luckier. Has anyone supposed it lucky to be born? I hasten to inform him or her it is just as lucky to die, and I know it. I pass death with the dying and birth with the new-washed babe, and am not contained between my hat and boots, and peruse manifold objects, no two alike, and every one good. The earth, good, and the stars, good, and their adjuncts, all good. I am not on earth, nor an adjunct of an earth. I am not an earth. I am the mate and companion of people, all just as immortal and fathomless as myself. They do not know how immortal, but I know. Every kind for itself and its own, for me, mine, male and female, for me, those that have been boys and that love women, for me, the man that is proud and feels how it stings to be slighted, for me, the sweetheart and the old maid, for me, mothers and the mothers of mothers, for me, lips that have smiled, eyes that have shed tears, for me, children and the begetters of children. Undrape, you are not guilty to me, nor stale, nor discarded. I see through the broadcloth and gingham whether or no. I am around, tenacious, acquisitive, tireless, and cannot be shaken away. The little one sleeps in its cradle. I lift the gauze and look a long time, and silently brush away flies with my hand. The youngster and the red-faced girl turn aside up the bushy hill. I peeringly view them from the top. The suicide sprawls on the bloody floor of the bedroom. I witness the corpse with its dabbled hair. I note where the pistol has fallen. Oh, damn, okay. The blab of the pave, tires of carts, slough for boot soles, talk of the promenaders, the heavy omnibus, the driver with his interrogating thumb, the clank of the shod horses on the granite floor, the snow sleighs clinking shouted jokes, pelts of snowballs, the hurrahs for popular favorites, the fury of roused mobs, the flap of the curtained litter, a sick man inside borne to the hospital, the meeting of enemies, the sudden oath and the blows and fall, the excited crowd, the policeman with his star quickly working his passage to the center of the crowd, the impassive stones that receive and return so many echoes. What groans of overfed or half-starved who fall sunstruck or in fits! What exclamations of women taken suddenly who hurry home and give birth to babes! What living and buried speech is always vibrating here! What howls restrained by decorum! Arrests of criminals, slights, adulterous offers made, acceptances, rejections with convex lips. I mind them, or the show or resonance of them. I come and I depart. The big doors of the country barn stand open and ready. The dried grass of the harvest time loads the slow-drawn wagon. Clear light plays on the brown, gray, and green intertinged. The armfuls are packed to the sagging mow. I'm there. I help. I came stretched atop of the load. I felt its soft jolts. One leg reclined on the other. I jump from the crossbeams and seize the clover and timothy and roll head over heels and tangle my hair full of wisps. Alone, far in the wilds and mountains I hunt, wondering, amazed at my own lightness and glee. In the late afternoon, choosing a safe spot to pass the night, kindling a fire and broiling the fresh-killed game, falling asleep on the gathered leaves with my dog and gun by my side. The Yankee clipper is under her skysails. She cuts the sparkle and scud. My eyes settle the land. I bend at her prow or shout joyously from the deck. The boatmen and clam-diggers arose early and stopped for me. I tucked my trouser ends in my boots and went and had a good time. You should have been with us that day round the chowder kettle. I saw the marriage of the trapper in the open air in the far west. The bride was a red girl. Her father and his friends sat near, cross-legged and dumbly smoking. They had moccasins to their feet and large, thick blankets hanging from their shoulders. On a bank lounged the trapper. He was dressed mostly in skins. His luxuriant beard and curls protected his neck. He held his bride by the hand. She had long eyelashes. Her head was bare. Her coarse, straight locks descended upon her voluptuous limbs and reached to her feet. The runaway slave came to my house and stopped outside. I heard his motions crackling the twigs on the wood of the woodpile. Through the swung half door of the kitchen I saw him, limpsy and weak, and went where he sat on a log and led him in and assured him, and brought water and filled a tub for his sweated body and bruised feet, and gave him a room that entered from my own, and gave him some coarse, clean clothes. And remember perfectly well his revolving eyes and his awkwardness, and remember putting plasters on the galls of his neck and ankles. He stayed with me a week before he was recuperated and passed north. I had him sit next to me at table. My firelock leaned in the corner. There is so much going on here between the trapper marrying a Native American girl out in the West to taking in a runaway slave, because this is in Whitman was in the mid-1800s, so that's something that was part. So to treat them well and take care of them and let them go on. Good man. He was a good man. 28 young men bathed by the shore. 28 young men, and all so friendly. 28 years of womanly life, and all so lonesome. She owns the fine house by the rise of the bank. She hides handsome and richly dressed after the blinds of the window. Which of the young men does she like the best? Ah, the homeliest of them is beautiful to her. Where are you off to, lady? For I see you. You splash the water there, yet stay stock still in your room. Dancing and laughing along the beach came the 29th bather. The rest did not see her, but she saw them and loved them. The beards of the young men glistened with wet. It ran from their long hair. Little streams passed all over their bodies. An unseen hand also passed over their bodies. It descended tremblingly from their temples and ribs. The young men float on their backs, their white bellies bulge to the sun. They do not ask who seizes fast to them. They do not know who puffs and declines with pendant and bending arch. They do not think whom they souse with spray. The butcher boy puts off his killing clothes or sharpens his knife at the stall in the market. I loiter, enjoying his repartee and his shuffle and breakdown. The blacksmiths with grimed and hairy chests environ the anvil. Each has his main sledge. They are all out. There is a great heat in the fire. From the cinder-strewed threshold I follow their movements. The lithe sheer of their waists plays even with their massive arms. Overhand the hammers swing, overhand so slow, overhand so sure. They do not hasten. Each man hits in his place. The Negro holds firmly the reins of his 4 horses. The black swags underneath on its tied-over chain. The Negro that drives the long dray of the stone-yard steady and tall, he stands poised on one leg on the string-piece. His blue shirt exposes his ample neck and breast and loosens over his hip-band. His glimpse is calm and commanding. He tosses the slouch of his hat away from his forehead. The sun falls on his wispy hair and moustache, falls on the black of his polished and perfect limbs. I behold the picturesque giant and love him. And I do not stop there. I go with the team also. In me, the caresser of life, wherever moving, backward as well as forward, slewing, niches aside and junior bending, not a person or object missing, absorbing all to myself, and for this song. Oxen that rattle the yoke and chain, or halt in the leafy shade, what is that you express in your eyes? It seems to me more than all the print I've read in my life. My tread scares the wood drake and wood duck on my distant and day-long ramble. They rise together. They slowly circle round. Hang on. Hang tight. Dropping frames again. Okay, I think we're back. Maybe. Nope, not quite. Hang on. Yeah, dropping to 0 bitrate. Awesome. Awesome. Please come back. There we go. Thank you. Seriously. Come back. You can do it. All right, I think we're back. Bitrate is back to stable. Yeah, this is the worst night we've had in a while. We haven't had a full drop yet, but we're getting pretty consistent dips. I believe in those winged purposes, and acknowledge red, yellow, white playing within me, and consider green and violet and the tufted crown intentional, and do not call the tortoise unworthy because he is not something else, and the jay in the woods never studied the gamut, yet trills pretty well to me. And the look of the bay mare shames silliness out of me. The wild gander leads his flock through the cool night. "Ya honk," he says, and sounds it down to me like an invitation. The pert may suppose it meaningless, but I, listening close, find its purpose, and place up there toward the wintry sky. The sharp-hoofed moose of the north, the cat on the house-sill, the chickadee, the prairie dog, the litter of the grunting sow as they tug at her teats, the brood of the turkey hen, and she with her half-spread wings, I see in them and myself the same old law. The press of my foot to the earth springs 100 affections. They scorn the best I can do to relate them. I am enamored of growing outdoors, of men that live among cattle or taste of the ocean or woods, of the builders and the steerers, of ships and the wielders of axes and mauls and the drivers of horses. I can eat and sleep with them week in and week out. What is commonest, cheapest, nearest, easiest is me. Me, going in for my chances, spending for vast returns, adorning myself to bestow myself on the first that will take me, not asking the sky to come down to my good will, scattering it freely forever. The pure contralto sings in the organ loft. The carpenter dresses his plank. The tongue of his foreplane whistles its wild ascending lisp. The married and unmarried children ride home to their Thanksgiving dinner. The pilot seizes the kingpin and he heaves down with a strong arm. The mate stands braced in the whaleboat. Lance and harpoon are ready. The duck shooter walks by silent and cautious stretches. The deacons are ordained with crosses, stands at the altar. The spinning girl retreats and advances to the hum of the big wheel. The farmer stops by the bars as he walks on first day loaf and looks at the oats and rye. The lunatic is carried at last to the asylum, a confirmed case. He will never sleep any more as he did in a cot in his mother's bedroom. The jour printer, with grey head and gaunt jaws, works at his case. He turns his quid of tobacco while his eyes blur with the manuscript. The malformed limbs are tied to the surgeon's table. What is removed drops horribly in a pail. The quadroon girl is sold at the auction stand. The drunkard nods by the barroom stove. The machinist rolls up his sleeves. The policeman travels his beat. The gatekeeper marks who pass. The young fellow drives the express wagon. I love him, though I do not know him. The half-breed straps on his light boots to compete in the race. The western turkey shooting draws old and young. Some lean on their rifles, some sit on logs. Out from the crowd steps the marksman, takes his position, levels his piece. The groups of newly come immigrants cover the wharf or levee as the holy pates hoe in the sugar field. There's the woolly pates hoe in the sugar field. The overseer views them from his saddle. The bugle calls in the ballroom. The gentlemen run for their partners. Then the dancers bow to each other. The youth lies awake in the cedar-roofed garret and harks to the musical rain. The wolverine sets traps on the creek that helps fill the Huron. The squaw, wrapped in her yellow-hemmed cloth, is offering moccasins and bead bags for sale. The connoisseur appears along the exhibition gallery with half-shut eyes bent sideways. As the deckhands make fast the steamboat, the plank is thrown for the shore-going passengers. The young sister holds out the skein, while the elder sister winds it off in a ball, and it stops now and then for the knots. And again, Comcast decides to give us a bit of a hiccup. Hang tight. Alright, I think we're good. Yeah, having a rough time of it tonight. Okay. The young sister holds out the skein while the older sister winds it off in a ball and stops now and then for the knots. The 1-year wife is recovering and happy, having a week ago born her first child. The clean-haired Yankee girl works with her sewing machine or in the factory or mill. The paving man leans on his two-handed rammer. The reporter's lead flies swiftly over the notebook. The reporter's lead. The sign painter is lettering with blue and gold. The canal boy trots on the towpath. The bookkeeper counts at his desk. The shoemaker waxes his thread. The conductor beats time for the band, and all the performers follow him. The child is baptized. The convert is making his first professions. The regatta is spread on the bay. The race is begun. How the white sails sparkle. The drover, watching his drove, sings out to them that would stray. The peddler sweats with his pack on his back. The purchaser higgling about the odd cent. The bride unrumples her white dress. The minute hand of the clock moves slowly. The opium eater reclines with rigid head and just opened lips. The prostitute draggles her shawl. Her bonnet bobs on her tipsy and pimpled neck. The crowd laugh at her black-eyed oaths. The men jeer and wink at each other. Miserable, they do not laugh at your oaths, nor jeer you. I'll be damned. Walt Whitman, sex positive. Really, all of these little bits and pieces just go to tell me that Whitman's honestly just a stand-up guy. I wouldn't mind having a drink with this guy. As opposed to, like, Thoreau, who I'd rather kick off a bar stool than have a drink with. The president, holding a cabinet council, is surrounded by the great secretaries. On the piazza walk 3 matrons, stately and friendly with twined arms. The crew of the fish smack pack repeated layers of halibut in the hold. The Missourian crosses the plains, toting his wares and his cattle. As the fare collector goes through the train, he gives notice by the jingling of loose change. The floormen are laying on the floor. The tinners are tinning the roof. The masons are calling for mortar. In single file, each shouldering his hod, pass onward the laborers. Seasons pursuing each other, the indescribable crowd is gathered. It is the 4th of 7th month. What salutes of cannon and small arms! Seasons pursuing each other, the plower plows, the mower mows, and the winter grain falls in the ground. Off on the lakes, the pike fisher watches and waits by the hole in the frozen surface. The stumps stand thick round the clearing. The squatter strikes deep with his axe. Flatboatmen make fast towards dusk near the cottonwood or pecan trees. Coon seekers go through the regions of the Red River or through those drained by the Tennessee or through those of the Arkansas. Torches shine in the dark that hangs on the Chattahoochee or the Altamaha. Patriarchs sit at supper with sons and grandsons and great-grandsons around them. In walls of adobe and canvas tents rest hunters and trappers after their day's sport. The city sleeps, and the country sleeps. The living sleep for their time, the dead sleep for their time. The old husband sleeps by his wife, and the young husband sleeps by his wife, and these tend inward to me, and I tend outward to them. And such as it is, to be of these more or less I am, and of these one and all I weave the song of myself. I am of old and young, of the foolish as much as the wise, regardless of others, ever regardful of others, maternal as well as paternal, a child as well as a man, stuffed with the stuff that is coarse and stuffed with the stuff that is fine, one of the nation of many nations, the smallest the same and the largest the same, a southerner, soon as a northerner, a planter, nonchalant and hospitable, down by the Oconee I live. A Yankee bound my own way, ready for trade, my joints the limberest joints on earth, and the sternest joints on earth. A Kentuckian, walking the vale of the Elkhorn in my deerskin leggings, a Louisianan or Georgian, a boatman over lakes or bays or along coasts, a Hoosier, Badger, Buckeye, at home on Canadian snowshoes or up in the bush, or with fishermen off Newfoundland. At home in the finest of ice boats, sailing with the rest and tacking at home on the hills of Vermont or in the woods of Maine, or the Texan ranch, comrade of Californians, comrade of free Northwesterners loving their big proportions. Comrade of raftsmen and coalmen, comrade of all who shake hands and welcome to drink and meat. A learner with the simplest, a teacher of the thoughtfulest, a novice beginning yet experiment of myriads of seasons. Of every hue and caste am I, of every rank and religion, a farmer, mechanic, artist, gentleman, sailor, Quaker, prisoner, fancy man, rowdy, lawyer, physician, priest. I resist anything better than my own diversity. Breathe the air, but leave plenty after me. And am not stuck up, and am in my place. The moth and the fish eggs are in their place. The bright suns I see and the dark suns I cannot see are in their place. The palpable is in its place, and the impalpable is in its place. Oh, this is actually very short, okay. These are really the thoughts of all men in all ages and lands. They are not original with me. If they are not yours as much as mine, they are nothing, or next to nothing. If they are not the riddle and the untying of the riddle, they are nothing. If they are not just as close as they are distant, they are nothing. This is the grass that grows wherever the land is and the water is. This is the common air that bathes the globe. With the music strong I come. With my cornets and my drums, I play not marches for accepted victors only. I play marches for conquered and slain persons. Have you heard that it was good to gain the day? I also say it is good to fall. Battles are lost in the same spirit in which they are won. I beat and pound for the dead. I blow through my embouchures my loudest and gayest for them. Vivas to those who have failed, to those whose war vessels sank in the sea, and to those themselves who sank in the sea, and to all generals that lost engagements, and all overcome heroes, and the numberless unknown heroes equal to the greatest heroes known. Alright, I think this is probably where we'll have to end our reading for now. So we've got an ad starting in less than a minute. So let's take a highlight and a bookmark. And we're gonna go on an ad break. We've got like 27 pages left of this poem. There's no way we're finishing this one. Honestly, this poem will still take probably most of our Sunday reading anyway. So let's take a short break. We'll come back and have some thoughts on what we've read so far, thoughts on Whitman, aside from just being a right stand-up dude. And then we'll figure out how we'll finish up for the night. So, take a moment, stand up, stretch your legs, and we'll be back in just a minute. All right, we are back, and we don't need to stay in the reading nook here for this, because that is as far as we're going to read tonight. So, we got a few minutes here, we can decompress and have some thoughts. General vibe check, I like this. I like this a lot. You can feel Whitman's passion coming off the page, and it's refreshing to have so much hope and just good vibes after so much of what we read, what we see in the day-to-day. It's either pushing conflict amongst ourselves or generation against generation or anything like that. This is just hope, optimism, looking at the best of people, generally being the best you can be. Yeah, it's a good way to put it. It's like, he's easy to just fly under the radar. You hear people talk about Whitman. You hear people write him off as a early age hippie. You hear them just dismiss him out of hand, but really, you can feel how much he just cares about everything, about himself, about all the people around him, how every one of us are brothers and sisters, and how it doesn't matter where you came from, what direction you're going, any of that. None of it matters. At the end of the day, we're one human family. And that is incredibly absent from so much of media and reality in general. Like, people don't talk like that, or if they do, they keep it to themselves. This is such a positive vibe check that I've not seen in years. And I can see now why it hits different as I'm older. When I read this in high school, it was A, an assignment. I didn't choose Whitman, I was assigned Whitman. And B, it was, growing up, being a young man in a small town in the Midwest, particularly in the post-2000 era, it was hard not to be conservative growing up in that environment. And as such, I could see that coloring my perception of Whitman. And as I've grown older and become, as I get even, as like, with, it feels like with every year I tack on, I become more and more of a bleeding heart liberal. I identify more and more with Whitman's ideas here, the sentiments that he's passing along, and just from different parts in life, you get different impacts from different authors, and this is a great example of that. So, I'm happy we came across this one. As I was mentioning or going around, I'd wanted to do a reading for Pride Month. It's only right. Everyone's got their own representation and such, but I was having difficulty in finding things for in the public domain, because obviously 100 years ago it was a little less obviously acceptable to be out. So much of the writings that we have are either deeply closeted, where you have no idea, or they were pariahs. Last year, around this time, we read Portrait of Damian Gray by Oscar Wilde, who famously was criminally prosecuted for being homosexual. So, understandably, it's difficult to find things that are old enough to be in the public domain that are by either openly queer or, exactly, Wilde is the easy answer. And yes, he has other things we can go to, but it is unfair to the greats like Whitman, obviously, which it's not. Whitman is a curious case where, yes, everyone knows, yes, it comes through, but it's also subtle. If you don't want to look for it, you can look the other way and not notice. So I think that he's an example of the not quite closeted, but ambivalent. And that's how it's survived and made it through. But nowadays, if you know, you know sort of deal. Wilde, on the other hand, is out there. Like, you know. So, but yeah, so as I had said, we try to do representative readings whenever we can. At Pride, we do. I don't think we did anything for February with Black History Month. Last year, I think that was when we were starting to read. Well, we were just getting started, really. And this year, that was when we were getting started with Twitch. Next year, we'll probably have to like pull out Demas or something for February. But June and Pride Month is relatively easy to remember, but hard to find things that fit. We'll see. We'll see what we can do. That's looking a long way forward, though, because judging by how far we got through tonight, if I'm looking at this right, we got through, I'd say about, not counting the introduction, probably about 8% of this tonight. So we're probably going to be busy with Whitman for the rest of June. And I can't say that I'm unhappy with that. I've enjoyed it. I enjoyed this a lot. I was happy with this one coming across and being the work we landed on. All right, so with that, let's go ahead and see who we can raid into tonight. We've got generally some decent luck on Fridays. Anymore, that it seems anyway. So let's see who is around, who is reading, and what is going on tonight. Cryptid is reading again, reading viewer stories. She was fun when we went to her last time, but I think that's a little too recent. Let's see. Someone is reading there toward the end. E-B-E-G-G. I don't know. We'll see. Another rerun of somebody reading. Oh, you know what? The fanfic crew, they are together, and Seeley, one of the hosts, is reading, or they're presenting their own fanfics tonight. So I guess it's only right to head over that way. Let me see if any of them that are streaming that we're not following. It looks like we do have all of them. So let's see who's got the fewest viewers among them. So Slack's got 3. Wits has got 2. All right, we're going to Wits. All right, so as always, let's give everyone our best. This should be fun. Last week we did a collab with these guys, joined in on their Friday night fanfics. It was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to maybe doing it again sometime down the way. So give them our very best. And until next time, tomorrow at 6, we will be back to reading The Shining by Stephen King. A very different vibe than Whitman. Things are getting very dark very quickly at the Overlook. So, brace yourself. Be ready. Because, things are gonna go very badly very quickly tomorrow, I think. Alright, so, thanks for joining us tonight in our first reading of Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass. Let's give the FFF gang our very best as we read over now. Good night.
And stood in front of her. Sorry, habits are habits, Dr. Stein chuckled. The girl picked up a stack of papers. Dr. Stein's research. Oh, hi, Arthur.